be harmful. The Henderson County Sheriff's Office immediately operations plans. Right now, I'd like to introduce Henderson County Public Schools Superintendent John Bryant so he can lay out basically what his folks dealt with throughout this event.
Thank you, Sheriff Griffin, and it is on days like today that we want to start with deep gratitude that our students, our staff, and our school communities are all safe and well at this time, and that is a credit to the responsiveness of the staff, of our students, and certainly our law enforcement partners. And as the Sheriff said, when notifications of that kind occur, we immediately begin our emergency procedures, and that's what took place in this particular time. North Henderson High School and Apple Valley Middle School share a campus location, and so we began evacuations of both of those facilities. In our communications and in our coordination with law enforcement and emergency responders, we made determinations that those evacuations ultimately needed to be a dismissal from those school campuses, giving law enforcement ample opportunity to ensure the safe clearance of our campus based on their level of concern. It was at that time in the morning, approximately 9:30 this morning, that we made the initial communication to our school communities, letting folks know that we would begin a three-phase dismissal. That dismissal initiated with students who were drivers on the high school campus, student drivers and their siblings. It then moved to school bus transportation, and then finally resulted in students who needed parent, guardian, or family pickup. And we made the determination in coordination with law enforcement and partners to establish a reunification point. That was at Fruitland Bible College. And our staff and students then transported the remaining students to that campus where parents and guardians were able to reunify with them at that point. Again, that kept the campus secure at all times. It kept students and staff safe at all times. And at the start of this particular press conference, we were approximately 75% through that reunification process. Again, that is a credit to the extraordinary leadership of our law enforcement partners, our emergency services personnel, the men and women who serve in this space whenever there is a crisis response necessary to take care of our school communities. And so I, again, am grateful to report that that unification process is going smoothly at this point, and within the next hour, we hope that that's wrapping up. That's where we stand at this point, and again, if I could just state how fortunate we are to have law enforcement personnel and emergency response personnel who are on the scene and provide clear, direct, and supportive guidance for our school system operations when we deal with these kind of incidents. The Sheriff and I often talk about not wanting to have to prepare for these kind of days, but we are grateful to have the partnerships and the level of communication in place that allow us to respond efficiently, safely, and with very steady hands when these concerns rise to our attention. And so with that in mind, that's the school system response at this place. I'll let the Sheriff continue from his perspective.
Thank you, Doctor. During our investigation, a package like that, which was described by the caller, was actually located. And we used the appropriate procedures that we would with any potential explosive device to render that package safe. However, I'm happy to report at this time that no actual explosives have yet to be found. Recently, I've been in contact with officials from the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation and North Carolina Emergency Management. This has been since we responded to this incident. We've learned that this event seems to be associated with a disturbing pattern of similar calls across the state. It's my understanding that very similar situations have occurred at 16 different North Carolina high schools encompassing 13 different counties beginning on April 5th. I just now received information from a federal authority that says this spans as far as Tacoma, Washington, and even threats made at schools in Florida. The Henderson County Sheriff's Office was assisted at the scene by the Hendersonville Police Department. And additional explosive detection canines from the Asheville Police Department and the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office were utilized as well. I'd like to thank the Henderson County Fire Marshal's Office and Henderson County Emergency Management, Henderson County EMS, Henderson County Rescue Squad, as well as Dana, Edneyville, and Mountain Home Fire Departments for their assistance at the scene as well today. Please understand, and a message that I want to get across, and I understand that these children, and we realize that the children of these schools, of any schools in Henderson County, are the most precious thing that we have in Henderson County, period. The Henderson County Public Schools have developed tremendous plans. We work arm in arm with them to carry through these plans to keep these students safe. We ask that moving forward, should we ever face another situation to where we have to secure or evacuate a school, that the parents not panic, that they listen for direction from the Henderson County schools and from law enforcement authorities, because it makes it easier for us and to be able to keep the children, the students, safe. So we really thank all the parents for their cooperation. We're able, I want everybody to understand that we push out notifications almost immediately as events are unfolding, and anybody can connect with us and receive updates through our mobile apps. So at this time, I'll open the floor for any questions.
Sheriff, can you talk at all more in detail about the package? Was this a bag, a box? What exactly are we talking about here?
I will say I don't want to jeopardize the investigation in any form, especially as we're looking at something that may not only be statewide but maybe national. But the description of the package is something that's not unlike you might find in any school, only they gave us some specifics that would make this package sound like it was potentially harmful. And it was to that point that, you know, it really caused us to move into the state of alert that we were in. You know, there's a point where, although we wonder sometimes, is this actually a real event or is this a hoax? But ourselves and Henderson County Public Schools, we will choose to err, you know, on the side of caution. We want to make sure, above all, that our students are safe, and if it's a hoax, whatever the case may be, you know, we'll deal with that subsequently.
So Sheriff, do you think the person who called you is the one responsible for the bag?
We have not tied that directly to any one person yet. So I really don't have that information. I know that we have investigators that, like I said, remaining on the scene, and we're going to work in conjunction with state investigators, and now it sounds like potentially even federal investigators as we move forward with this.
Sheriff, is this something that appeared to have been mailed to the school, and where roughly in the proximity of the school campus was it?
Okay, so this was going to be, and there again, this is all part of the investigation. This was actually in a classroom. It was described as being in a classroom, and it was a package that would have been brought into the school. This is not something that was received through the mail or shipped in any way.
So the caller was actually somebody who saw the bag and then reported it?
Let's just say allegedly saw the bag and reported it.
And do you think that this is connected to the, I don't know if it was found in Rutherford County or Transylvania County where they also had claims of a, bomb threat?
I can't speak directly to Transylvania County, although I will say, and in my line of work, I'm suspicious of everything, but I have my suspicions. What I will say is with my conversations with the SBI and with North Carolina Emergency Management, we have strong reason to believe that this is directly connected to several other events that have happened across the state. We basically have evidence to say this is directly connected.
Are you able to say, is there surveillance footage in the school that would show how this package ended up where it was in the classroom?
So I don't have the answer for you to you for that as we speak. I will follow up with that. I don't know what precisely where the cameras are in this school and exactly what they've actually located. And that's what we have investigators still working with the school officials to determine right now.
But there are cameras in the school?
It's my understanding, but there again, I may be speaking out of turn because I'm not certain.
Sheriff, I'm speaking about the Rutherford County situation. That one came out as, after investigation, a hoax. If this one might have been a joke played by, a student or whatever, could you just send a message on how serious these things are and they should never be used as a joke or a prank? Just a message to students about that.
Here's what I'll say about that. This disrupts a lot of lives. This uses up a lot of resources. Anytime we have an event like this, whether it's actual or it's a hoax. We have successfully investigated cases like this before, and we successfully prosecuted these cases, and that's what we intend to do this time. This, although it may seem like a joke to someone, it's far from it. And as we continue with this investigation and track down the suspect or suspects that may be associated with this, let me assure you, from the Henderson County Sheriff's Office, we will pursue this with the appropriate criminal charges. It won't be treated as a joke.
So was the actual presence of an odd-looking bag what prompted the evacuation of the school?
Yeah, there was information that we took that kind of, as we took it, gave us what we felt. And I don't want to speak out of turn for public schools, but what we felt was a reason to say, look, we need to take this to the next level. We want to make sure that the students here are safe.
Well, for there to be 16 of these in 2 days, what do we know about how information is being shared, if it is? What information is being shared about how to conduct one of these hoaxes, let's say, and how is it being shared? Like dark web, social media, something like that?
That's what we're curious about, Bill. We've already speculated some of that, but then again, as this is winding up, and like I said, I've been on the phone with the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation today, and the SBI actually has basically an information center where they compile a lot of information to include threats that may be pertinent to or within North Carolina, and they are currently trying to compile as much information as we move forward with these investigations right now. So there again, I have my suspicions. But I've got nothing at this point, from when this occurred just before 8 o'clock to where we stand here to be able to relate to any type of evidence pointing to the same.
Do we know whether the 15 other packages all were similar in size and appearance and contents?
I think that the descriptions, let's put it that way, the descriptions from what I understand were very similar. I can't speak to any packages in the other schools.
How long will investigators be on scene at the school?
You know, they will be there. There's a we actually have a way that we process crime scenes, and it's very methodical. And they're going to go through this. But now you're looking at this campus, and it's a large campus. So I haven't been in the campus, or actually I've been to the command center, but I haven't been in the school since the inception of this investigation. So I really don't know what they have processed, what they haven't processed, but we will be there until we believe that anything that may be of any kind of evidentiary value has been collected and processed.
Is this one of the an investigation where like a lot of it is conducted online, looking into social media accounts and the way they communicate?
I'm sure that's where this is going to go, and I think that, you know, we're, like I said, as we work with other local agencies, state agencies, potentially federal agencies, this investigation, you know, I would like to say that there's some sort of magic formula where we could wrap this up really quick, but we're going to continue to dig until we find what we're looking for.
You made it a point to tell the public and parents not to panic. Were there examples today that concerned you in terms of either rumors or examples of panic?
Not many. We know that today, in today's world with social media, that one reason that we in an event like this would want to work with the school system to push out information as fast as we can is false information can flood the airways, can flood these social media sites, can be passed along. And when you have people, and you know, they are really concerned about their children. The parents of students in Henderson County, you know, they're great people. They love their children as they should. There's going to be a great deal of concern, and that concern can drive people to worry even when they shouldn't be worried, and especially when you add false information to that. So we had some folks today that really weren't aware of what was going on, which caused them, you know, some extreme worry, some extreme despair for a little while, and it makes it a little more difficult. It's a little more challenging when we try to communicate with these folks to get the real story out, you know, and assure them that we have a plan. We're putting that plan in place, and we are going to do everything humanly possible to keep these children safe.
On a state level, what kind of charges would somebody like connected to this face?
There's all sorts of charges. You've got some very serious felonies concerning terroristic threats, but there's also federal charges that, even though it's happened on local or state property, there's also federal charges that would apply.
Sheriff, there's probably a lot you can't say about this at this point, but does this appear, because of other states potentially involved, does this appear to be a domestic, like as in the United States, or are we seeing indications that this could be relating to other countries?
That I can't answer. Like I said, the information that I've gotten and I've given to you basically is hot off the presses, and I've not had time, and our people have not had time to dig into it that far. I don't know.
This is a question for the superintendent, and I know you all have talked about parents and trying to get to their kids as quickly as possible. Obviously a very scary day for parents. They just want to be near their children
as quickly as possible. So we've heard a lot from parents who felt like things didn't move as quickly as they should have. Any response to that and how things were handled with reuniting kids with their families?
Sure. As the sheriff said, anytime you're dealing with a crisis situation, the information can't be communicated fast enough. That's always true. Our gold standard is making sure that that information is accurate, timely, and that we are certain of what we are communicating. The sheriff said the exact same piece. We push it out as soon as we can when we know what the circumstances are. So for example, our initial communications regarding the dismissals and the evacuation started at 9:30. But we did not have our reunification plans finalized because those are always circumstantial based on the situation. One might ask the question, well, we wish we had known that at 9:30. Well, of course we would like to share that, but based on what we know about the situation, we have to make decisions to ensure that we can safely dismiss students and reunite them at a specific location with the coordination and support of our community personnel. And so the commitments that the school always has is to provide information as soon as we can, as accurately as we can. And so we appreciate that. I don't think that there's a parent in our community that doesn't want to know in real time what's taking place. And because we have to make sure that we balance accurate communication with timely communication, we're going to always push it as fast as we can.
Do you expect for school to be in session tomorrow at these two campuses? And if so, will operations be altered in any way?
So right now, classes and all extracurricular activities have been canceled on both locations today while we finalize the work there. But we fully expect to be normal school operations, normal school conditions tomorrow.
Do you have any messages for the kids? Like, are you going to make any announcements about if they know anything or have information?
That's always the case. We have a series of tip lines and opportunities for parents and families and any member of our community to share information when it's relevant. The message that I have for our students and our staff is just how proud we are of them. Their ability to respond in these kind of incidents, to be calm, to recognize what we need to do in the way that we need to do it, just gives us a tremendous amount of pride. Our staff, our students, and again, the emergency response personnel, these are the kinds of moments where readiness and again, a steady hand are critically important, and we're grateful for our students for handling themselves so well today.
I'd like to speak for just a moment to the very question that you asked Dr. Bryant as well. As they put together that reunification plan, parents need to understand that we still have to plan and we provide for security. So that's a critical element in every one of these plans. If we were to prematurely say we're evacuating students to a location before we have secured that location and we're able to secure the routes to that location, if we've got threats on campus, we don't want somebody figuring out ahead of time where these students may be headed, the way they may be headed there. So there is the method that's used, there's a reason that it's used, and that's so throughout the entire process we can provide security for these children. So that's a big part of it.
When was the last time that y'all had to respond to a bomb threat in Henderson County?
There are protocols for responding to generic bomb threats. In each one of them are analyzed and handled accordingly, okay? So I can't speak to when the last time was, but this particular threat rose to a level that caused us to really act extraordinarily to make sure that the students were safe.
Can you, I know you probably can't say much about that, but was it the tone of their voice or the information they gave that made that message, that made you react that way?
D, all of the above. How's that? I can't, and I wished I could at this point, but as this investigation moves along, there's things that we're trained to key on. Like you said, voice inflection, certain words that are used. It's a culmination of things, and that's what we look at. That's what we analyze.
Sheriff, are there any suspects at this point?
At this point, there again, I've not spoken to our investigators in the last little bit. So I'm not really sure where we're at. Like I say, we're coordinating our efforts with multiple agencies. I can't say if there's individuals that we're looking at. I honestly don't know.
I imagine the caller, there was probably someone that you'd like to speak with.
Very much so. Very
Do you know
much
the
so.
age and gender of the caller?
I can't provide that. Right now, there are, and this is something that we're analyzing. There's so many different apps. I could stand here and speak to you if I had a curtain in front of me using certain apps to disguise my voice. So I really don't want to get into trying to pick out who or what kind of person we're looking at without further investigation, Bill.
But doesn't the technology exist to find out where it was made from?
I think there's a lot of technology exists. There's also a lot of technology out there that bad guys use, and they use it in different types of scams and frauds every day to hide IP addresses, to reroute phone numbers. So there's work to be done. There's a way to perform that work. There's a way to perform these investigations, but this is where we're at with that. I just can't tell you right now. And that's because I don't know right now, not because I'm hiding it from you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time to come here